Are you looking to start your own e-commerce brand and build a tribe of happy customers? Or perhaps you already have an online store and you're looking to grow your business while making an impact? If the answer is yes, you would love this interview. Hi, this is Eric here, and you're listening to #Highly Sought After. Our guest is a well-known pet care entrepreneur here in Singapore. His name is Terry Peh. In 2017, Terry left his cushy corporate career and ventured out into the world of e-commerce, launching his very own e-commerce brand, Good Dog People. In less than 2 years, the brand hit $1 million in revenue without venture capital. Today, Good Dog People is one of Singapore's top-rated e-commerce brand for pet care. Well regarded as a dependable pet care provider, Good Dog People has garnered thousands of 5-star reviews with a powerful mission to redefine responsible dog ownership, one dog at a time. So with all that said, it brings me great excitement to have Terry to share with you how you too can build $1 million e-commerce business with a soul. Yo! Hi, Terry, $1 million question. Why do you quit your cushy corporate job and take the path less traveled to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I had the best time of my life. I was flying business class, living in 5-star hotels. I think at my early 30s, that was really what I'm craving for. But that also led me to the darkest part of my life.
Oh, why?
Right, there's a lot of indulgence, no restraint. And I think that I was going through a period where there's anxiety attacks. And I got so tired and so restless, and I was looking around for other jobs. Right, I look at the JDs, I don't get excited, and that's something is wrong. If I don't get excited, I can't take the
And so true,
offer.
because if you think about it, we spend most of our time working, right?
Yeah.
So whether you're an entrepreneur or a corporate guy, if you don't enjoy your job, you're not excited, then good luck to you, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think that was the time when I decided, you know what, this is it. I'm out of the corporate rat race. It's time to do something for myself. So I got a blessing from my family. I think there's going to be a lot of drastic changes to my lifestyle.
So true.
But I didn't live with a plan. I live without a plan.
So you just say, okay, one day you quit and that's it.
And that's it. But I had a direction. I know what I'm going to build an e-commerce business.
Let's go into that. Why were you so certain that you want to build an e-commerce business? I mean, you could have done anything with your life as an entrepreneur, right? Why e-commerce?
Okay, a bit of backstory. I was a creative in an advertising firm. I was a designer. Then I went on to be a project manager and also account servicing. I was in advertising for 6 years. And for the next 6 years, I was also working for big corps, in insurance actually, in medical device. So in the whole 12 years, I was just breathing digital. And because I used to travel a lot in North America and China, I see how digital changes the whole landscape. And Southeast Asia was lagging behind. So when I came back to Singapore, right, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm so good in digital. So that was the next step that I think I needed to do.
Very nice. So we get you. But why pet care?
Well, I was looking for different verticals, to be honest. And in 2017, there were many verticals that have already been disrupted. A lot of startups are getting fundings from investors. But pet care was pretty much untouched. And when I look inward, I also ask myself, if I build a business, what is my calling? What is the purpose? And to be honest, I think after leaving corporate, I want to build a business where people could be thriving in a very safe workplace. And also selfishly, I want to so-called, rescue or save my family, right?
Oh, every parent would love a son like you.
Right. And I want them to be able to work alongside me. And you know what? Today, my dad is actually working with me. In fact, it's been a year. And it's one full circle. And I think pets is also one passion point where it binds the whole family together. So I think it's a no-brainer.
Fantastic. I can see how it kind of all connects the dots. Remember Steve Jobs says, right? All the dots connect when you look backwards. So e-commerce, no-brainer because you're in tech.
Yeah.
And then you love pets, right? And it was an undisrupted industry, and
Yeah.
yet you also want to bring your family along. Do they love pets like you as well?
Oh, they do. So I used to live with my dad for a while. So he loved my 2 dogs. Yeah. And I mean, if I look at the stats, right, if you look at the entire history of pet care as an industry, it's recession-proof.
Why would you say it's recession?
So when you look, through the financial crisis in 2000 and before, pet care has always been doing very well. Constant growth. You don't see any dip, right? And if you look at the total number of pet ownership in Singapore and the decline in birth rate,
Oh my God.
right?
it's
So all
working
the
to your
numbers
favor.
are pointing towards the decision to go into pets.
Very cool. Now,
Yeah.
for those of you who are listening to this and you go like, oh my God, I need to go into pet care. Wait, listen to the rest of the interview, because I'm about to grill Terry to share with us how to build a thriving e-commerce company. All right, so before you jump deep into the deep end of entrepreneurship, please continue listening to this. Now, question, why the name Good Dog People? By the way, I love that name, right? But how do you
Thank
come
you.
up with this name, Good Dog People?
It's funny because in 2017, we were supposed to launch in July. And when we were just about to launch, we realized on a Saturday morning, I woke up, I was scrolling through my Facebook, and I saw, oh man, there's a new competitor with a very similar name and with the exact corporate color.
Oh dear.
And I can't launch with the same name and branding, right?
That's
So
right.
I got to postpone the launch. And for the next 2 months, I was very, very stuck. I couldn't find a name to...
How do you feel? Like you're about to launch, you
Yeah.
know, and then you see someone doing before you. It's like, I felt like, you know, it's like you see someone you like and you're about to propose to her and say, would you be my girlfriend? And then your best friend came along and just kind of took her away.
You definitely feel very frustrated. You know, you just want to get over it, and I was very anxious to get another name.
Yeah.
But you see, sometimes when you are, the more anxious you are, the more difficult it is. And so there's a creative block. I couldn't find the right name. So I decided to just let go, not think about it. And sometimes inspiration comes at the weirdest time, you know, and the most unexpected time. So I remember this one night I was jogging, I was running, right? And I asked myself, okay, if I really go into pets vertical, what do I want to be known as? And the answer is, well, maybe a good dog person. But I think I'm getting there. Like, okay, maybe that can be a brand,
Yes.
but it's not catchy enough.
Yeah.
What about good dog people? And when I go into that, I get very excited. Something tells me that maybe
You
this
got
is
it.
it,
Yeah.
right? And I went to my friends and my family and I asked them for their opinion. How do you think of this brand? And
Yes.
everybody loved it. So that got me started.
Yeah,
Well,
and it's very interesting because you didn't use the typical names like Pet Care Online, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? The very
yeah.
standard kind of names.
Yeah.
I feel like Good Dog People is a certain identity.
it is.
Would you say that that's the reason why people like it?
I think the beauty of this name is also you don't have to invest a lot of money just to build or sell a story. The name says a lot about what we want to do, what the business is, and who you want to be if you are the customer and you want to belong this community of good people. And I think that's the beauty of this name. And I think since we launched it, we've been attracting all the like-minded people. They want to be responsible dog owners, and therefore they come to us and they trust us enough to buy products off the shelves.
I love it. So the next time around when we come up with a name, it has to tie back to our mission,
Your mission.
tie back to our core value,
Your philosophy. Yeah.
or tie back to that brightness of future. Like what are you trying to build?
Yes.
Right.
Or maybe even a cause or a common goal that we can work towards too. Yeah.
So amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much for giving us tips on names. So we don't have to go online to look for brand name generators. Right? Instead, it's about asking ourselves, what's that future we're trying to create? What's the identity that everybody can relate to?
Yeah.
Right? Or what's the cause that we're championing?
Yeah.
And usually, if we think along that line, we can come up with a great name.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, so let's go into your e-commerce business. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I feel like, you know, you're fighting a battle every day. Sometimes
yes.
3 times
Yeah.
a day, you know. What were some of the memorable struggles that you faced in the business?
When we first launched, definitely pricing. The competition is fierce. I think specifically predatory pricing. People are just, selling products at a loss. And these startups, they are getting money from investors, right? So the burn rate is high. They do need to be profitable. And for businesses like us, we are independent. We don't have deep pockets.
Bootstrap.
How do we compete with them?
Yeah.
And so there's certainly pressure, to
Try to compete, right?
compete on price. So eventually we gave in. We actually tried implementing a price match guarantee. And we did that for a while, it gained some traction. But if you look at the bottom line and you start to realize it doesn't make sense and it is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So we had to really make a very tough call, think about different ways. How do we overcome that? Now, the big question is, we ask ourselves, how do we get people to buy from us knowing that we may not be the cheapest in the market?
Exactly. Good question.
Right? And I think that's a very difficult question to address. So then we look at different areas of the business. If you look at speed, for example, I think naturally most people, they procrastinate. When it comes to supplies, they don't buy until the last minute.
That's right.
And if that is the situation, that's the behavior, speed is very important. It becomes a important value.
Exactly.
And because we have healthy margins, we have that ability to hire better people, hire more people, invest in better logistics so that the products get to them faster. So if I dare say, right, today we are probably one or the fastest in terms of speed. Today you check out, by tomorrow morning you can get the stuff.
Fantastic. So what you're saying is that instead of trying to compete on price, you were trying to find out how you can compete on value.
On value, definitely.
And that if we're going to just play the numbers game, the price game with them, we're going to die.
You're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
The business is going to pay for it, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And if you can't even keep yourself in the business, what kind of game are you
especially
playing,
because
right?
you bootstrap, which means that you have no godfather backing you up.
Exactly.
Every dollar count,
And
right?
we've seen how businesses come in and out within 6 months or 12 months. They phase out very, very fast. And we don't want to be one of them. We are here to stay.
Got it. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, what can we provide as a value to our customers that will make them be willing to pay a premium?
A premium. And value comes in different forms. Like I said, speed is one of them. And the other one is customer experience. So internally, we don't call our people customer service. We call them customer success. We call them educators, because the mandate for them is to educate people and to solve people's problem. And I love it when people come to us with problems, because those are opportunities for us to help them. And believe it or not, every month I give the team a budget to spend to delight these customers. And when they don't spend the money, I get very upset, because then we are not helping them.
Exactly. We're not proactively doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see. Okay, got it. So I guess a solution to the price war is to don't compete on price, but to find out where your uniqueness is and compete on other areas that your customers value.
Yeah, where we can deliver value to them.
I love it.
But I think above it all is also, I think this is not always being brought up, but through the years, every year when I think about what really defines us as a business, strangely enough, this word always come up to me: dependability. I think as a business, as a co-worker, even in your personal life, as a son, as a child, as a husband, you want to be a dependable person.
So true.
Right? And if you ask yourself, today we are in a very digital world, right? When we order, a
plate of char kway teow.
or when you maybe take a ride sharing service, right? How often does it give you problems? And I think we are living in a world where everything is so fast, but a lot of services may not be as dependable as we want it to be.
Very true.
And I think because we focus so much on dependability, customers value that.
And would you say that is something that you are able to only communicate over time? Like, in your first 2 years, do you already knew that you want to be a dependable business so that people will be willing to spend more money on you?
That's a very good question. I'm a very real person. So a lot of values, a lot of the way of doing certain things, the way of thinking certain things. I carry it from my personal life to the business. And I think maybe unknowingly, I've always been advocating about being dependable, but I just didn't get to defining that as our value, as our core value. And it's just very interesting that every year when I run a workshop with the team, I always try to find something, a gap to plug, and this always comes up. And unknowingly, this has become our real core value.
And when you say this thing always comes up, is that as in they always tell you that one thing that distinguish you from other brands is that you're very dependable.
Dependable, reliable, and people can trust us.
And it's a word that your customers said.
Reviews after reviews. People always use the word, this is one place we can trust. This is one place we can depend on them to deliver to us accurately and, in a very short speed. And it's been consistent, over the years. And even down to the people we hire, they're all the same. They are dependable. I can depend on them to run certain things. Wow. And I think that comes true, when we service customers, they feel the magic.
Terry, at the core of a brand is self-awareness. It's about, a lot of us, when we try to build our brand, we tend to look outwards. We look at our competition and say, oh, they're doing this. Okay, we need to do it better, right? But what we fail to understand is it's very hard to actually measure better because it's subjective. How am I going to say that you're better than me, right?
There's no benchmark.
But people are wired to spot differences.
Yeah.
And so if I can be different, then I stand out. And what I'm learning from you, Terry, is that the way to be different so that people are willing to pay the premium on us is by digging deep into what makes us stand out from everybody else. And sometimes we might not know the answers, but our customers do. And let our customers be the one to tell us why they choose us.
Exactly.
And then from there, we will know our uniqueness.
And we have customers coming to us telling me, hey, Terry, you know what? Your company, your brand has a soul. And I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but you guys are different. We have job seekers coming to me and say, Terry, I want to work for you guys because I believe in what you guys are doing. We share the same belief.
And that goes back down to the name Good Dog People, right? That when you first started off, you didn't start off with just naming it based on a category, which is so transactional.
Yeah.
But you name it based on a vision, which is inspirational.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay. Now, so by the way, we opened out a lot of rabbit trails, but it came in very nicely because the question I asked you at the beginning was, what's the big struggle you faced? Pricing was a problem, and you fell right into trying to compete on price as well. But in the long run, it's going to kill your business, right? So what you did instead was to dig deep into what's your difference, what's your value. And you sell on your value rather than selling on your price.
Yep, exactly.
I love it. Now, then that was your early on years, right? Then after that, because you've been around for about 4+ years, so that was the first
Coming to 4 years.
So the first part of your business was on price. What is the other struggle that you're facing at the later part of your business?
So after we hit the 1 mil mark, I think there was also a very compelling reason to scale. You see the opportunity and you just want to ride on the wave, right? Yeah. And when I scale, I'm also learning through the journey, and I've never thought that when you scale, it is expensive. And what I mean by that is a lot of your investment, your profit goes back into building infrastructures, automation, hiring people, just to keep the lights on, And at one point, you risk scaling your cost more than your revenue. And if you're not sensitive enough, right, if you're not even more conscious about the numbers, you realize, oh dear, my cash flow is very weak. And you can be profitable, but if your cash flow is poor, you can fold a business. And I think that was a struggle that we went through. How do we make sure there's a balance? Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. There's a saying that, revenue is sanity, profitability is, I can't remember is that, then cash flow is necessity.
Yeah.
Damn, if only I know the whole code, huh?
Cash flow is king.
Yeah, cash flow is king,
Everything
right?
is about the cash flow.
Okay. And so how do you solve that problem then? When you realize that, you had to keep the lights on, you have to grow the business on your way. You very carefully use the word scale, which I love. By the way, a plug into our previous interview, right before yours, was Alvin Poe, sold off his tech company for $30 million, right? And I asked him that question. I said, what's the difference between growing a business and scaling a business? And he said to me that growing a business is where your revenue grows, increase, but so does your expenses, right? So you're always making sure that your expense don't cross the line. But scale is different. Scale is where your revenue grows, but your expense is kept fixed.
Totally.
Yeah. So, you reminded me that we need to be very careful about managing that two lines.
Yes.
So in your case, how do you manage it? How do you make sure that the expense line doesn't cross that revenue line?
It's always about the 80-20. I think there's always a lot of tempting moments, right? To believe that if I invest in something, it's going to bring me ROI. And sometimes you just like the idea of doing something or investing in something, but it may not necessarily bring you the revenue or the ROI. So today, when I try to decide how should I put my money into different baskets, there's always one single criteria. Does it bring any big impact? Does it bring any impact to the revenue? And when I say impact, I'm talking about visible impact, at least a 10 or 20% growth. If it's not, then don't play small. Don't waste your money into little small things, and you don't see the growth anywhere at all. So it's always about the impact. Even when the team comes to me and say, Terry, maybe we should subscribe to this. Maybe we should, upgrade, certain softwares. But the same question comes up. Does it bring any impact to the revenue? If it doesn't,
and if it does, how much?
How many percentage points? And if it doesn't go beyond 10 or 20, single digit, don't even think about it.
And when you say impact, do you just mean directly just revenue?
Revenue.
Got it.
Exactly.
So every dollar
Top
counts. Top line. Got it. So the next time around when we are as a business owner, we're faced with decisions to upgrade logistics, hire people,
softwares,
invest in software and marketing and advertising. We always need to think of which one gives us the biggest revenue impact. That's the I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, I feel you. I feel like sometimes I'm always in a dilemma. Like there's this FOMO. Like I want it all. Do you feel that way sometimes? Like
all the time.
You wish you have all the money in the world to buy everything. Like playing a computer game, sometimes I'll play a cheat code, right? Because like when I play StarCraft, I'll have a cheat code. And that cheat code allows me to have infinite money. A game that I love to play, I don't know if you play, I don't think you have any time to play. There's this game called Dota.
Oh, Dota I know.
Oh, you know Dota? Then I can play that cheat code called -Go, and I can put whatever Go I want, 50,000. I buy all kinds of weapons. Sometimes I really wish my business is like that, where I can just put a cheat code, right? So I get it now. So that we as a CEO, we have to make the tough call.
And it doesn't help that day to day you get a lot of people selling you services, right? They want to show you how good their softwares are, what kind of value they can bring to the company. But I think it's also good to be open-minded. Meet these people. I mean, I spend time with these people so that I'm also informed what the landscape is right now and potentially what value I can extract from these services. Because if I'm not ready today, maybe I'm ready 1 year later on. So I think it's just about really, getting informed, but not making impulsive decisions and not liking the idea of making certain decisions.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's being very cautious, right? And yet prudent. Very strategic and prudent. Now, there are people listening to us right now that are probably wanting to set up an e-commerce store because the narrative right now is that everything is online. This whole COVID-19 has just forced commerce to be done online, right? We're buying stuff online these days, right? Everything, furniture, food, content, online content. So what do you think are some of the metrics that we need to pay very careful attention on to build a thriving e-commerce store?
A lot of them, but also not to be too drowned, by too much data. But there are a few important ones that we look all the time, every day. So one, sales. Let's talk about categories. We have sales metrics. We have channels. So channels would be your websites, your EDM, email, your socials, and of course you have to look at your product. Yeah, how do they move? How much each SKU is raking in. So when we look at sales, definitely you have to look at revenue for the week or for the month. AOV. So AOV is average order value. How much are people cutting out on an average? Is it $100, $200? Can you bring it up a little bit more during special seasons? Look at conversion rate, sales conversion rate. Look at customer retention rate, which is very important because we spend so much money acquiring new leads. And if we don't keep the retention high, that means you're always spending money to acquire customers.
And how do you measure that? How do you measure retention rate in your
case?
Retention
rate is how many percentage of your customers. So for example, if you have 100 customers in the month of July,
yes,
how many of these 100 people, let's say 80 people, they are returning customers. So they have purchased something for you before in the previous month. And this month they come back and they purchase something from you. And that's also indication that you're doing maybe your customer experience well. Your products are priced very competitively. And in general, they like your brand, they love your brand. And that's why they come back.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, great. So these are the 3 sales metrics we need to pay attention to.
Oh, that definitely.
Got it. Yeah. What about when you talk about channels? What do we need to pay attention to?
So like website, you have to know where do they come from, where do they exit, how much time they spend on each page, when do they bounce off? Is it a high bounce off rate? You even have to look at what time of the week or of the day they buy the most.
Yeah, fun facts like Monday to Sunday, right? Hopefully without revealing any private data. When do people buy stuff?
Definitely at night, between 8 to 10 p.m. after dinner, right? Yeah. But if you look at number of, which day of the week?
Yes.
Weekends, right? So weekend buying is huge. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good to know.
Surprisingly, when you look at mega sales like Singles Day or Black Friday, lunchtime, actually people are buying during lunchtime. So you spot certain behavior and you know what to do at different seasons of the year. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Good to know. Lunchtime and weekends, right? Yeah. We talk about channels, so these are things to look out for. What about the last one, which is products?
So products. So internally we we have a lot of brands, a few hundreds of brands. You have to look at maybe say your top 10 brands. Which brands actually move slower or move faster in the current month. You can look at your categories too. So for example, brand A, if they have, if there's dry food, there's treats, there's toys, there's whatever, right? Is there any opportunity? Do you see any gradual increments in sales over the last 6 months? And maybe is there opportunity to invest more money to drive certain demand so that this category could actually do well, do even better. Yeah. So I think supplements, for example, is something that we have been trying to drive the demand.
Yeah.
We've seen a gradual increment in terms of spending. And I think there's potential, So we've been trying to experiment, run some pilots, trying to upsell, cross-sell, And, I think the message is also to let people know that if you invest today, prevention is better than cure. You invest today in supplements, you save a lot of money from seeing the vets.
That's so true.
Right?
But what I thought was very cool is that, to run an e-commerce company, you need to love numbers. You need to...
definitely.
You need to analyze data, right?
You must be able to mine the data, spot certain trends, be analytical so that you can extract insights from it. And then that's where opportunity is. And if you are just growing organically, right, I think you're not doing the right way.
Got it. So when we look at the numbers, we should look at spikes, sudden sales of certain brands of products, or we look for gradual upward trends.
Or sudden dip, because that also brings you, highlight you about certain problems. Yeah, it's a red flag. So there was one time we saw a sudden dip in over a weekend. And we realized, oh dear, actually the website is down.
Oh my God, and it's on the weekend where most people are buying.
Yes, and why the website was down? Because on Friday, we were doing some implementation. And the takeaway is never do implementation on a Friday. Because weekend is your peak season, right?
You should do it like on a Monday or Tuesday.
Exactly. And second, always have monitoring alerts so that when your website is down, you get alerted real time and not when you look at the data, because by then it's already too late.
You know, Terry, I mean, that leads to a question that we didn't plan for, which is, as an entrepreneur, you're very sensitive to revenue, top line, right? You need to make sure that the revenue is high, consistent, growing. You need to manage expenses. How do you feel emotionally when things screw up in your business, like things like that? You know, like you need money, you need the revenue, and then the website crashed, or you need your guys to like be on time to deliver something, and they screw up. There will always be cock-ups, right?
All the time, every day, like you say, right? You got to firefight.
There's a lot of firefighting, right?
A lot of them.
How do you maintain your mental wellness? How do you deal with it? How do you take care of yourself emotionally?
It was very draining, to be honest. The first, I think, 2 years, whenever you think that you've solved certain problems, right? But new problems keep surfacing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
it's like whack-a-mole, you know. Have you played the game whack-a-mole?
I know.
You hit one and the other one pop up. You hit the other one, the other two pop up. You know. Yeah.
I think it's important to have a support system, and I mean, I think the truth is, whether is it intentionally or unknowingly, you might have already developed a support system in many touch points of your life. I think even in the workplace, if you have one or two people whom you can speak to, like in the current team, I have people coming up to me and say, Terry, you look visibly stressed today. If you want to talk, I'm here to listen. And
wow.
I really appreciate so much, and I'm thankful that I have people like them in the team. When I get home, I can talk to my wife. But of course, sometimes there are moments where you don't even want to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, for me, there's always a reason why I choose to live very close to nature. And I think we all would agree nature heals, right? It restores. And every time I feel very drained out, I just go out and go for a quick run or a quick hike, and it calms me down. So every morning I have a routine. I don't do meditation or yoga.
Yeah.
I just water my plants. I just water my plants, and that act of watering to me is actually an act of like nurturing, taking care of something, and it gave me a lot of peace.
Right now, immediately I think about some people saying, but I have no plants. Don't worry, your neighbors do water their plants.
Well, I don't think they mind.
They mind?
Yeah.
I love that. But would you also have a way of reframing problems?
Yes.
How do you reframe problem? Every time a problem pops up, how do you reframe it?
So very good point. I think functionally, what I always like to do, right? I think you also have the same habit.
Okay.
I write on a piece of paper. So when I have a lot of problems in my mind, I often get very clouded. It's hazy, and I can't really crystallize what exactly the problems are and what the solutions are. So when I write down, I try to itemize them. I break down in as granular as I can. And for the last, I would say, 20 years, there's always a question that I go to when I face a problem. Is it a life or death matter? And if it's not a life or death matter, why am I worrying so much? And if it's a problem I can solve it. If it's a problem I can't solve, is it a life or death matter? If it's not a life or death matter, leave it. It's fine. Face the consequence, and it will get through. You'll get through one day.
Even if it means losing revenue, or even if it means you anger a customer.
It's okay, because it will get better. You'll always be in a better position tomorrow or the next day. And I know that is true because it happens so many times. And I've cultivated the habit of not over-worrying or overthinking certain things. Face the consequence or fix the problem.
I love that. Thank you so much. It's like, especially you see your brand value is about dependability. Right? And we are dealing with customers all the time, and we know how competitive business is. It's like, I always believe that in sales, right, you cannot be second place. your parents say, it's okay to be second place, you got a trophy. But in the business world, nobody rewards the second place person because you either get a sale or you don't. Only the first place guy gets a sale. So I get very caught up whenever I lose a business to someone else, because in my mind, I feel like I've lost. Or another way is I spent a lot of time trying to get the deal. I got the deal, but for some reason we screwed up and we angered the customer, or at the back of my mind, I'm worried that we will never get a customer back again. People can be so unforgiving, right? Like you screw up once, that's it. Nobody's going to give you a chance. How do you deal with all those consequences?
I always face this challenge when I first started. I get a lot of anxiety attacks over the weekends, right? When I open up my my socials, I look at, which competitor is doing this promotion at a very specific price, which I can't match, and I get very upset about it, and I get anxious about it, and my whole weekend is ruined, because then I'm always thinking, right, how do I develop better promotions just to beat them? But I realize it's also taking a toll on my mental health. I'm always in this zone where I'm always frustrated and annoyed, and so I think, I guess the what I've try to change in terms of mindset is trying to look at the bigger picture. When you know how big the market is, and when you know where your values are, how good your service is, you don't have to worry about losing that lead or that sale or that product. Because for example, if I focus on servicing my customers well, and if my pipeline is so good, so strong, what is losing one customer? Not that I don't value that customer, but the market will take care for me.
Will take care of
me, right? Because the market is big enough. And I think that's about looking at it with a bigger view.
Yeah, abundance mindset. I love that.
Yeah. And today, I'm also asking myself, what am I doing to drive the market? Not just for myself, but also for my competitors, so that every one of us have a piece of the cake. And I don't have to always worry about, that being losing out. Or
so it's not about competing, but finding ways to collaborate even, or finding ways
I
to
wouldn't
create
say collaborate,
demand.
but to drive the demand, to drive the market.
To drive the demand so that everybody wins.
Exactly.
Okay, but so let's recap what you just said, because you said a lot of very gold nuggets. So number one is, see the market is big.
Yeah.
It's an abundance mindset.
And if the market is not big, then you're in the wrong business.
Okay, good, right? So that's a great one. So you might lose one today, but see it as temporary.
Yes.
Right? And then number two is, go back to always your core competencies.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody's trying to win everybody, win at all battles.
Yeah.
But you need to understand where can you always win, right? There's a saying that if competition is healthy, domination is immunity.
Nice.
So it's not about competing, it's about dominating in areas where you are the strongest.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love about going back again to what my core competencies. And then the third part I've learned from you is that problems will always come, but will come from a point of view that if it's solvable, we'll solve it, we'll get better anyway.
We will, definitely.
Yeah, wow. I think it's the whole idea of perfection. We're trying to be perfect here, but there's no such thing as a perfect business. There's just a business that progress.
What I learned about profession over the years is I always, I think perfection is a disguise for the fear of failure. I always think I want to be perfect.
Yes.
But when I dig deeper, I ask myself, is it really because I want things to be perfect? I think because I'm so scared of failing, I deceive myself into a state where I think I'm doing just a little bit more, it will be good enough. But that's not true. In fact, I think excellence is something that I advocate a lot in the team. Excellence is the ability to take the risk, knowing that if you don't succeed, you have that tenacity, that grit to see through it. And I think there's a difference between excellence and perfection. And we should pursue excellence, not perfection.
Oh my God, because there's no such thing as perfection. It's an illusion, right?
It's an illusion.
It's a deception. That is masked very nicely, but it's actually just a fear of failure.
It is.
But if I put myself in a mindset of excellence, I'm actually implying that I will make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from those mistakes and I'm going to get better
and I'm going to commit to it and give 100% of my ability.
At that moment, with
that
whatever
moment.
skills and resources I have.
Yes.
Right? Oh God, Terry, you're wise. Right? You should not be called just good dog people. Wise dog people. Now, I mean, as we're folding this interview, right? We've covered a lot of things, right? We've covered your struggles. We have covered about the importance of, understanding your core competencies. We have also talked about how do we deal with stress of being an entrepreneur. I make an observation about good dog people. I realize that there are a lot of high-profile individuals that are very, very supportive of your brand, And I've also done my research, and I know you didn't pay them, right? It's not like they're influencers, and it's not influencer marketing. A case in point would be Daniel Boy. Right, Daniel Boy is the godfather of fashion in Singapore. He is the judge of the Asia Next Top Model, right? So how do you even manage to attract people like that to be advocates of your business?
Very good question. I think it goes all the way back to when we first started. And the irony is we are an e-commerce company, and when we come into the market, I asked myself, do I really want to put my money into advertising in digital channels? Because it's such a crowded place, So I was trying to think out of the box. And I'm very grateful to Daniel. He has lended a lot of support. And there was one day we had lunch together, and he comes from a very fashion space, right? And he always wanted to put the spotlight on the local labels, the local creatives. And for me, I always want to shine the spotlight on the local street dogs to get people to love, right? And to embrace the local street dogs. And it was just over lunch, we thought, well, do we want to come together and do a show together? And I think he loved that idea. I would be able to benefit from his resources and his network as well. And I think that's how we put the show together. And I wanted to also rope in the special need artists. So this boy, Si Jun, right? He designed a few dog bandanas for us, and we wore it on the local dogs. And together with local media personalities, we all came together and do a show. And we call it the Good Dogs and People Show.
Nice.
Very simple.
Yes.
And dogs is the priority, right? Good dogs. Yes. So we did a show, and it was actually a very powerful moment for me. Very emotional, because Si Jun, right? He's down with autistic. And when we decided to put him on the show, we were not sure whether he can walk a dog. So we asked him, like, do you want to give it a try? And he said yes. And when he was able to walk the dog, care for the dog, guide the dog, you know what the mom told me? She thanked me, and she said, do you know, I've never ever imagined Si Jun is able to care for a dog. And you gave me a glimpse of hope.
Oh my God.
That he's able to take care of himself one day. And that was a very emotional and touching moment for me.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm feeling the emotions. Wow.
And it also reminded me what I can do, through my business to really empower and make an impact to people, to the dogs. Yeah. And also collectively with people like Daniel Boy. He's a figure with authority and influence, right? And together we just come together and try to make an impact.
From what I learned from you is that if you want to attract powerful people to support you, you need to first have a powerful mission.
Yeah.
All right. That it's not transactional but inspirational.
It is.
And you have one. And it's all folded into one, which is Good Dog People.
And the community really started from there, So every year we still meet up. And it is a ripple effect, right? So Daniel's network would then refer to their contacts, and so will our adopters and my customers, and that's how we grew from there, and that's how we started building the community.
I love it. Yeah. So if you guys are pet lovers, or you're taking care of a dog, a dog, right? So please do check out Good Dog People. What's next for you, man? Like after Good Dog People, is there gonna be something else?
So this is a surprise.
Okay, let's look at his camera then. Let's look at his camera. Oh my God!
Curious Cat People. So it's a newly launched cat store, Curious Cat People.
I was very worried for you for a while because, I mean, there are a lot of dog lovers, but there are a lot of fierce cat lovers too, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was just wondering why you neglected them. But oh wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
So how do you came up with the name Curious Cat People? You have a knack for coming up
I
with
thought
good
you
names.
would ask me like, why do you call it Good Cat People?
Oh yeah. On the same note, why not Good Cat People? Or are you trying to imply that cat people are not good?
No, definitely not that.
Yeah.
We thought very hard about the brand. Why should it be Good Cat People?
Yeah.
Or Curious Cat People? So we did a straw poll. We asked some friends and some potential customers.
Correct.
And interestingly, it was quite evenly split. Now the camp who voted for Good Cat People, the consistent reason they gave was very functional, because you have a brand in Good Dog People, and you should write on your brand. And to me, that's a very functional reason.
It's very logical.
Very logical. Yeah. But to me, I mean, brand has to be very emotional. You have to connect emotionally. And those who voted for Curious Cat People, they say that's how my cats are. They are just generally very inquisitive and very curious. And I feel a lot for Curious Cat People more than Good Cat People. And so we go with
it. You felt like you're forcing a dog personality on a cat.
Exactly, yeah. So that's how we decide, maybe we should go for Curious Cat People.
Yeah, and if you think about it, every brand, it's a personality on its own, right? Why do you need to fuse that? We don't need Siamese twins.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right? We have a cat person and a dog person.
And
one's
very
curious,
different persona, very different identity.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have friends who are cat people and they're very different from the dog people. I for sure am a dog person, right? But in fact, that would be a pretty cool thing, right? So if you guys, can drop us a note. If you're watching us on YouTube, let us know, are you a dog person or are you a cat person? If you're listening to us on podcast, feel free to tag me and Terry. You'll be able to find his handles on our show notes. Go tag him and let me know, are you a dog person or a cat person? And you do have a cat or dog, put a picture up on social, tag us so that we can take a look.
Yeah.
Right. How do we reach out to you? What are the handles?
So you can reach out to Good Dog People, like GOODDOGPEOPLE, or Curious Cat People. And my personal handle would be Terry Peh, TERRYPH.
Got it. I just gotta warn you, don't think that when you go to Terry's Instagram page, you'll see cats and dogs. You'll be very surprised. Remember I told you that, he told you that he loved like plants, right? And I mean, look at our backdrop, it's green, right? So he has a green thumb, right? So if you like plants, do check him out as well, Terry. Terry, I just want to thank you for really taking the time, to have a chat with us. And I felt like you really brought a lot of soul into today's conversation. And you make me realize that a business is not just about profit. A business has an opportunity to make a huge impact in people's life. So thank you very much. All right, high five, man.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me.
All right. So this is Terry from Good Dog People and Curious Cat People. I've learned so much from Terry. I think my biggest takeaway is this, that, the title of today's interview was How to Build a $1 Million Business, right? E-commerce business with a soul. And my biggest takeaway from him is this, that before we can make $1 million, we need to first impact 1 million. So a lot of us, we tend to think about the money, but the money, from what I learned from here, is a fruit. That if we come from an angle of wanting to help people, wanting to raise an entire industry, wanting to serve a certain cause, and when that goal becomes so big, you will attract customers to you, you will attract the revenue, but more importantly, you will attract allies, right, in the form of investors and influencers who will come and support that cause to you. Because remember this, a powerful cause attracts powerful people. So if you're going to start your own business, think about this very carefully, all right? Don't just come up with a company name, but come up with a company mission, because that's what attracts powerful people to you. If you love this interview, we do these interviews once a week, and we post this on YouTube once a week as well. So if you like this video, you'll love all the other videos out there with my interviews. So remember to hit the subscribe button, switch on notification, like, and let us know, are you a cat person or are you a dog person? Or maybe you are a hamster person or what? All right, let us know in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video.